Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Art with Miss Myra. This is actually the second time I've tried taping this. We had a little bit of technical difficulty with the scissors earlier and stuff, so I decided to restart the video and make a clean take here and stuff. So today's project, this is Tuesday, April 14th, and today's project is we are going to be doing a button tree, okay? So we're going to learn a technique today on how to sew on a button. That's what we're going to work on today, okay? So the supplies that you're going to need for this project are, you're going to need a solid piece of felt, any colored felt, okay? And that's what we're going to be working on. And then we need a smaller piece of like brown felt for our tree. If you don't want to have a brown tree, if you want to have a purple tree, you can have a purple tree. It's not a big deal, but you just need another smaller piece of felt that you're going to cut out and you're going to have for your tree, okay? And then you're going to need a needle for hand sewing. You're going to need thread or embroidery floss. You're going to need scissors, and then optional for this project is you're going to need an embroidery hoop, okay? So, but don't feel like you can't do this project if you don't have an embroidery hoop. That's okay. That's just an optional thing. It can make this process a little bit easier, but don't feel like you can't do it if you don't have one, okay? So I'm going to actually show you how to do it and stuff when without one, so you guys can see how to do this and stuff when not needing one. And then you're going to need buttons. You're going to need all kinds of buttons, and I have all kinds of really fun buttons. I have, flower. I've got just plain round ones. I've got, of course, if I can pick it up, I've got little heart ones. I've got all kinds of really fun colored different buttons that I've had throughout the years and stuff and kept throughout the years, and that's what we're going to use. And we're going to make this little tree design on our piece of felt, and then we're going to learn how to sew on buttons today. So I thank you so much for joining me, and I'm going to tip my phone down now so you guys can see my progress as I work, and we'll go from there. So thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so you can already see that I have started this project, and what I did to start out is I took my piece of felt that I have, and I cut out a basic design of a tree, okay? And this does not have to be pretty, guys, because we're going to be covering this a little bit and stuff with our buttons, okay? And so we're not going to worry about this, but I laid my basic design out for my tree. I cut it out of my brown felt, and I laid it out on here on my plain piece of paper, and so now I'm ready to go. And I'm just going to use embroidery floss, and I'm not going to split this, okay? I'm not going to split this at all. I'm just going to keep this solid because the thickness of our thread doesn't matter with this because all of the buttons that I have pretty big holes. I don't know if you guys can see that really well, but they all have pretty big holes, so we're not going to worry about that, okay? But we're just going to go ahead and we're going to thread our needle, and I hope everybody knows how to thread a needle. You just thread a needle. I always have to lick the end a little bit, and then put my thread into my needle, and then I'm going to just go down here on the end. I'm not going to double it up because I've got that thicker thread, right? But I'm just going to go down to the end, and I'm going to tie a little knot on the end, and now I'm ready to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stitch this little tree on my paper, on my felt. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the back. You're going to go from the bottom to the top, and that's how we're going to sew our buttons on too when we start that, okay? And then I'm just going to do kind of a little basting stitch almost. So I'm just going to make a stitch, and I'm going to make another one here and stuff, and then I'll pick it up and show you guys how this looks, okay? But this goes pretty quick to do this, guys. So we're going to just make a little stitch that is pretty close. It doesn't have to be touching, okay? And I hope you guys can see that okay. I'm not sure because it is kind of dark and stuff, but my stitches are not, they're not touching, okay? And I'm just gonna go along the edge, and I'm just gonna quickly kind of baste this on with my needle and my thread. And I want to go all the way around. And I'm going to say that we're going to go, those stitches are going to be probably like the width of your middle fingernail, okay? So that's the width, about the width that you want to make them. And like I said, we're just kind of basting this on. We're not like really stitching it on. We just kind of want it to, you know, not go anywhere. So did everyone enjoy the nice little snow that we got this morning? I'm actually in Jamestown right now, still with my family out here, and it snowed here this morning. So I was a little bit surprised at that. Oops. So Daisy, of course, loved the snow this morning when we went outside. She is a snow fiend. She just absolutely loves snow. And see, I'm going to pick mine up, and I'm going to, this is where if you have an embroidery hoop, it makes it just a little bit easier because you're going to be able to, you know, pick it up and kind of your felt will be held taut, and so it's going to be a little bit easier to work with. But I just went up this one side, and now I'm going to kind of position my third little limb here, and I'm not even going to go down the other side, okay, because my buttons are going to hold that in. So I just want to stitch really quickly, stitch this third middle, you know, the middle branch here, kind of put a couple stitches in him, make sure he's going to be held down a little bit. And if you want to, you know, have this be really neat and perfect, you know, you can go ahead and stitch down both sides, kids, but don't worry about that. That's not absolutely necessary, because like I said, we're just trying to get this held secure, you know, and stuff. We're not trying to, it's not going to wiggle much once we get the buttons on. So okay, and so now when I'm ready on my back, when I've stitched my limbs on, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to tie a knot. And you know, I always like to do 2 knots. Okay, so I'm going to tie 1, 2 knots, and I'm going to make that secure. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim the tail. And I'm going to go ahead and get ready to start sewing on my first button. Okay, so now this is like I said, guys, we just want this kind of basted on so it will stay still, but we're not going to worry about it being perfect or looking perfect, because a lot of the tree we're going to cover up, okay? And so now I'm just going to pick my first spot, and my first button is going to go up here on top of this tree branch, okay? And so when I start with my buttons, I already have a knot on the end of my thread, okay? So I'm going to go from the bottom to the top, and I'm going to poke through this first hole, okay? And now if your buttons have 4 holes, you're going to want to go, when we're going from the top to the bottom, we're going to go kitty corner, and we're going to go, you know, top to the bottom and do 1 stitch, and then we're going to want to do that 3 times, okay? So we're going to go from the bottom up that first hole that we were through, okay? So bottom to the top, and then we're going to go top to the bottom, and that's 2 times. And now we're going to do the same thing one more time. You know, bottom to the top, and then kitty corner. So just like that, okay, we went kitty corner. I started here, I went over kitty corner here, and I did that 3 times. Bottom to the top, then top to the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 3 times. Okay, and now I'm going to start up here on top, and I'm going to go bottom to the top, 3 times, and I've made an X. What I have done here is I have made an X. Okay, now I have sewn on my first button, and you can see I have an X on it, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my second button, and this button only has 2 holes, but that's okay because I'm just going to go top to the bottom, but now I'm going to do it 6 times in and out of that same hole, okay? So I'm just going to go in 1 through the bottom, and then down through the top, and then from the bottom to the top again. And we're going to do that 6 times because we want our button to stay on there, you know, firmly. We don't want it to come off, right? And it is holding down our little branch there too. Just take your time. You know, I sometimes feel like I kind of rush in these videos and stuff because I'm trying to show you guys a lot in a little amount of time. But when you're at home, take your time and work on these things and do them correctly. Okay? So there we go. So I did the second button. Like I said, that was a 2-hole button, and I just did that, you know, bottom to the top, top to the bottom, and I sewed that in, and I did it 6 times, okay? So now let's get a big orange one. And you can see I'm not finishing all, you know, I'm not tying off the ends. I'm not knotting this in the back and stuff, and I'm not tying, I'm just using my thread. I'm going to use my thread for as long as I can, okay? But if you have to switch thread, you can sure do that. Okay, you guys can knot, you know, make a knot in the bottom of on the back, and I'll show you guys how to do that as soon as I get this one sewn on, okay? So we did bottom to the top, you know, bottom, I'm going up from, you know, from the bottom to the top, and I'm pulling it around the top, and then I'm going from the top to the bottom, and I'm doing this to make a crisscross pattern, you know, an X. So I did the first leg of this, okay? And now I'm going to go here and I'm going to do the second leg. And I did went in and out 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now that is on there and that is secure, all right? So what I'm going to do and stuff to finish, if I was running out of thread, okay, of my embroidery floss or my thread or, you know, whatever I'm using, all I'm going to do is I'm going to leave enough, and I still have enough that I could do a couple more buttons on this, okay? But I'm just going to show you guys how to do this, all right? So what I'm going to do to finish this off is you always want to leave enough to tie a knot, okay? And so when we tie our knot, we're just going to, you know, I always hold this up, you know, perpendicular, and then I come around the back, and then I go through the hole with my needle. I create a little hole, and I go through the hole with my needle, and that gives us a little knot like the first knot of when we tie our shoes, okay? And so we do crisscross, and we make a little loop, come through the loop with our needle, and then I've always put my needle in to pull it down, and that gives me a knot that's right at the end of my, you know, right at the start of my material, my felt, and that gives me a nice tidy knot, okay? And now I want to just cut off the tail, okay? So now I'm just going to put this aside because I don't want to mess with a shorter one, because I want to show you guys as much as I can. But with this project, like I said, we're just learning how to sew on buttons. We're going to sew on colorful buttons on this little tree. And then this is something that, you know, kids, you could either frame this. If mom and dad have a frame that they, you know, are not using and stuff, ask them for a frame. You could frame it when it's all done. And you want to fill this up pretty full, you know, and stuff. You want to fill this up pretty full. You want to fill up all the branches and make all kinds of, you know, pretty things on our tree here for, you know, just, you know, as a way of practicing, you know, to sew on our buttons. We want to sew on all these buttons on our tree, and then when we get all done with this to where we're really happy with it and happy with the design and happy with the number of buttons that we have on here, then we'll be done with it, okay? So, but it's gonna take us quite a while and stuff to finish this, and this is a really good thing, guys, to you know, to work on at night when you're maybe sitting on the couch watching movies, you know, with your families. You know, this is just kind of a busy activity and stuff that you guys can do and stuff, and this is, you know, kind of how it would look and stuff when it was done. But this is just a really good project to do, and believe me, it's very important to know how to sew on a button. And so that's why I wanted to do this little project with you guys, and so you could see how to, you know, sew on a button. But you just add as many buttons as you want to on your tree, and I'll post I'm going to go ahead and finish this one today, and then I will post a picture of my finished product in the description below if you're on Facebook, and if you're watching me on YouTube, I will go ahead and put in the description or in the comments below and stuff. I'll post a picture so you guys can see the finished one. So there is our project for today. This is the button tree. and I hope that you guys enjoyed that and that you all are at home and stuff and making these little button trees. It's a great way to learn some basic sewing techniques, and you're learning how to sew on buttons. And like I said, that is really important. Just ask any college freshman who goes away from home and needs a button sewn on and stuff. It's a very handy thing to know how to do, okay? So tomorrow, what we're going to be doing is on Wednesday, April 15th, we're going to be making a drawstring bag with a tic-tac-toe game that's going to go inside it, okay? And so for this, you need a piece of felt, you need cording or yarn, you need beads, and those are optional, but if you have some beads, I have some big chunky wooden beads that I'm going to be using. You need a scissors, and then for the tic-tac-toe game, you're going to need 10 small rocks, and I want you to paint those. I want you to paint 5 in one color and 5 in another color, and then we need a black marker, and I'm going to show you guys how to put that together. And that's a little game that you guys can take wherever you go, and it keeps everything together and neat. And so I want to show you guys how to do that, and it's a really simple project, very easy to do. If you're watching this on Facebook, greetings to everyone, all the public school kids and the homeschool kids that are watching me. I sure appreciate all of your support. I've gotten so many nice comments, from people. And again, I'm Myra Klein on Facebook, and I always welcome any questions or comments, or if you're looking for a suggestion, if you don't have some of the materials that we're utilizing in class, if you want suggestions for alternatives and stuff, I'm more than you're more than welcome to contact me, and I would be love to help you guys out with some of that, okay? And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you would please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you can be notified of all of the new videos, and then you can stay up to date with all of the classes on Art with Miss Myra. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day, and hopefully the snow will be gone soon so we can all get out and enjoy the nice warm weather. So thanks again. Bye-bye.